All right, the problem with fasting while the serpent is still inside of you. First off, let's discuss what the serpent is. So, the serpent, the thing that controls you, is your mucoid plaque, the toxins, the poisons that have accumulated inside of your gut since day one. If you have been eating, if you have been force fed from birth and eating 3 meals every single day of every single day of your life, um, what has happened because we are not designed to eat every day of our life. Yes, we can take it. Yes, we deal with it. But look at the health problems that arise. Look at all the dis-ease that is in every single person. Um, and look at people when they get old. And not even old, 40 years old, already torn to pieces, stiff as a brick, and it's just not natural at all. The constant consumption is just not natural at all. It's not our natural state of being. So yeah, consuming every single day, complete hoax, and consuming most days of the year, complete hoax as well. Um, so what happens? All this consumption. Well, we already know all the chemicals, right? Even I'm pretty sure it's called like PFOS, PFOA, things like that, where they say it would never leave your system. It will. These things will never be able to get broken down on Earth. They will forever be these chemicals that stay forever, right? Well, yeah, it's things like that that just accumulate in your gut lining, in your intestines, and I still haven't looked up how long the intestines are, but I know they're feet upon feet upon feet upon feet upon feet long, right? Um, all it takes is a quick Google search to see how long your intestines are, your whole intestinal lining is, and what happens is just those toxins and chemicals and poisons just they continually accumulate meal after meal. I was gonna say day after day, but man, we eat like 3 meals a day, maybe more. I know there was a time in my life where I made sure I ate at least 6 meals a day. So yeah, so we have this serpent inside of us. Call it a serpent because it's literally the fucking devil inside of our body that's controlling our mood, our behavior, our decisions. Um, what's the scientific fact on the neurons in your gut? You have twice as much, like 3 times, quadruple. I don't even know, but I know it's definitely at least 3 times as much neurons that are inside of your gut than inside of your own brain. So, because they like to say, uh, they like to say your gut is your second brain, but after looking at those scientific results of everything, those discoveries that shit, it's almost like your gut has, I guess, more intelligence or whatever than your own brain does. Um, so, but what the issue is, we have this thing so clogged up with toxins, with poisons, heavy metals, microplastics, um, just chemicals like high fructose corn syrup, all the chemicals that they put in every single one of our foods, all the fillers they put in all our foods, all our canned, all our processed, you know, don't even call this shit food. It's not fucking food. Um, but yeah, so in that thing, so for example, I'm 25 years old and I know I've been getting intoxicated. I've been getting poisoned since the day I was born, especially with who my parents are, knowing their intelligence at that time. They were definitely not smart enough to know that what they were doing was abusing me and killing me slowly. And and so every day from day one, I've been accumulating toxins and poisons. Now, what that turns into, because I mean, you can look this stuff up. It's called mucoid plaque. You can look up people going on juice cleanses and taking pictures of each one of their shits of every day, and it's literally what starts, because you go on this juice cleanse, and 90 days in, people are still shitting rubbery fucking long ass pieces. I mean, just smelling like the worst thing you could smell, is what they say. Just with my experience on 8 days, my shit is already like, whew. So I could only imagine when you start getting the stuff that's been sitting and rotting in your gut for years upon years upon years, when that shit starts coming out, yeah, I'm sure it's got a little smell to it. So so yeah, you get the, so the problem with that sitting in your gut, so yeah, it's real rubbery. It's like it takes force to rip it apart. It's not something like, I'm sure when you were a kid and you shit, you would poke a stick at it or something. I mean, I don't know. I know I did that quite a few times. And, but, you can go just right through the shit, right? Not this stuff. This stuff is like, it's nasty looking. Just look it up. Mucoid plaque, right? And it's just toxins that have accumulated over our entire lifespan from a young age. And I'll note this as well. Even if you think you've eaten healthy, right, but you've still eaten 1 to 3 meals a day every single day of your life and never gave your body a break, never fasted a day or two, you got mucoid plaque. You got shit in your gut that's been sitting in there for years. And it is controlling your mood, it is controlling your behavior, it is controlling your energy levels. It is doing a lot. I keep farting. Got so much gas. So yeah. So the problem with, so look at it like this: fasting versus juice cleansing before fasting. So the problem with going from eating like that, eating cooked meals, eating a bunch, eating ultra processed food, eating complete trash, dairy, meat, and then going straight into fasting, or even seeing it'll work out. You'll be able to pull off a 3-day fast and feel great. You may even feel better at the end of it. You can pull off these 2-day fasts. You can pull off intermittent fasting while still eating that stuff. But as you keep on with that, like I kept on with it for a couple years of fasting, but just eating what the fuck ever, because I was like, oh look, you can fast and feel amazing and have a great body and still eat whatever you want. You could actually eat worse, and as long as you fast, it's better. Like my thing was, you could eat anything you wanted, but as long as you kept it in a 2 to 4 hour window, you're good, right? It's better than eating it all day long, right? Which it is. But because you start doing that, you have that 18-hour gap, you have that day gap, you have that 2-day gap. You start getting things to start circulating, right? It'll start to catch up to you. It'll start catching up to you, and not in a bad way, but in a way that's letting you know, are you gonna cleanse? Are you gonna heal? Or are you gonna keep playing the game and trying to indulge in all this bullshit? You gotta choose. Am I gonna full throttle into this healing and do what's right, do what's humane, or am I gonna keep playing in the illusion of this enslavement and fall into the pleasures that the controllers hand to us in order for us to keep going along to get along? So yeah, we're literally finding pleasure in the things that our abusers hand to us, to keep us playing their game. And So the problem with fasting with those toxins in you, you fast and it does break it down, right? It does break that stuff down. It does start to chip away. It does start to get rid of that shit. Not necessarily get rid as much, because what it's doing is when it gets broken down, nothing's pulling it out, right? There's nothing pulling it out. Because we've done so much unnatural things to our body, we got to take unnatural procedures to fix ourselves. We got to kind of force a way to fix ourselves. And yes, fasting works, but with just how much chemicals are in the air, in the water, in the food, in our daily lives as stressors, it's just so much that we do need assistance in our healing. Going right to our natural biological functioning, which is a fasted state most of the time. It's very hard on the body. You have to take you have to totally get out of the system. You gotta take off work. You gotta make sure you're away from all the drama, all the noise, and you really gotta be dedicated to your healing in order to just jump straight into headfirst into a fast. I don't know. I didn't take that route, but because I'm still, doing what I gotta do, keep a roof over my head, blah blah blah. Um, and and so what this juice does, whereas the fasting, yes, it breaks down that mucoid plaque, but it re-intoxicates your body. It gets into your blood system, it circulates, and it makes you feel like shit. Um, Now, this juice, this juice is negatively charged. Those toxins are positively charged. So what happens when you put magnets together, positive to a negative? It sticks, right? Positive to a positive, positive to a negative, negative pulls it out. So the juice, even though those toxins are breaking down, it's immediately being pulled out. Because see, I'm not just drinking the juice once in a day. I'm drinking the juice from the time I wake up to the time I pass out. Yeah, because I want to keep myself lubricated, right? Just keeping that shit rolling out, rolling out, rolling out. Don't want it just circulating around my system. Yeah, so, and look, so the reason why not fast food, but even fast food, I mean, I was eating whatever, but cooked food, meats, dairy, all that stuff, even though it doesn't mess with you when you first start getting into fasting and you do those 2 days, you do those 3 days, it's because you have just put food into your body, and that stuff, newly cooked food, meats, all that shit sits in your system for so long. And I'm not talking about the stuff that stays in your system for years upon years. I'm just saying the stuff that eventually gets burned off over days or so. When you jump into a 3-day fast after you have a cooked meal, because you don't feel like complete shit during that cooked meal or during that fast after eating that cooked meal, is because the body is focused on that meal, is focused on whatever you ate the days before it. The stuff that's loose, that's not rubberized into the mucoid plaque. See, the body won't start attacking the mucoid plaque. The mucoid plaque is totally ignored during those 3 days, during those, whatever. All that your body's hitting is that food, right? So you don't start feeling like shit until you get more of that food out of you, that loose food, and then it starts hitting that mucoid plaque, and that's when people are like, "Ooh, I think I should eat. It's been 4 days. I think I'm actually feeling really bad," and so they'll go back into a meal, which usually cooked and a bunch of bullshit, cooked, processed, all that, and so yes, that is why you don't feel like shit, and you can actually live a fasting lifestyle for a couple years, like I did, where you're eating anything and you're just doing 3-day fasts here and there, 2-day fasts here and there. Like I was doing 2-day fasts at least once every 2 weeks, 3-day fasts, and it didn't really start hitting me until I started doing 7-day fasts, 5-day fasts, and no food, no water, and but yeah, so that's why you can kind of get by without dealing much with the symptoms of detox, because your body's so focused on the newly food. You could say newly food from the day before that fast to a few days before that fast. And it's just focused on breaking down that stuff because, like I said, it hasn't rubberized. Remember that mucoid plaque is rubber. Like you'll pull it and it won't break. You gotta use force to break it. But yeah, it's literally like rubber. There's people who post videos, they don't even shit in the toilet. They'll shit on a sheet pan, and so they can show you what it looks like and mess with it with gloves on, not try and gross you out, but yeah. And they'll pull on it, they'll poke it, and that shit, it's literally rubber. And it lines our intestinal walls, yeah, if you're dealing with constipation, if you're dealing with indigestion, if you're dealing with heartburn, that is a clear sign that you have mucoid plaque, which nearly every single fucking person in this world has mucoid plaque. Like, I wouldn't even say 1% doesn't have it. It's less than that shit. Because nobody's on this wave. Everybody is mass consumers, mass nutritionists. Look at the diet I eat. Look at the diet I eat. This diet healed me. This diet healed me. Man, look, going on a diet will definitely help you out, but that's not the end all be all, right? If you're eating, like people who talk all this about meat diet, of course you're gonna feel good going on a simple diet of just meat and fruit, or just meat and high fat, whatever you do. But if you're cutting out all this ultra processed shit, if you're cutting out all the sodas, if you're cutting out all the sugar, all the candy, all the snacks, of course you're gonna feel good because you're cutting out all that bullshit. Even though you're still eating shit that isn't good for you, at least you cut it down to 5 things rather than 100 things, right? 100 different things with 100 different ingredients, And so, when people get into the more primal diet of meat, veggies, fruit, not all these ingredients where it's like 100 ingredients just to make a sandwich, of course you're gonna feel better. But look, then there comes a time when you hit a plateau. And that's what, me and my dad experienced, because before we started the raw diet, like months before, we were all meat, steaks every day, maybe a couple steaks a day, while intermittent fasting, but steaks, eggs, just all meat. And we felt better. We felt much better. But why? Because we were cutting out so much of the bullshit of going out to eat, all the oils, all the sugar, all the candy. Of course we felt better because we cut out all that bullshit. But then it came to a point in time where I actually started getting, like, feeling sick from all the meat I was eating. And but then I kind of went into back to bad habits, just kind of eating whatever. And then my dad started the raw diet, and he got me started in the raw diet. So, and then it just went from there, But yeah, so fasting is very dangerous. Fasting is very dangerous if you have that mucoid plaque inside of you. I highly suggest, what needs to happen first is a cleanse, is an unnatural procedure to get that shit out of you. And then when you get that shit out of you, then the fasting will come naturally. Then the fasting will have much more benefits and feel much more effective. You won't feel drowsy, you won't feel drained, you won't feel dead from it, you won't feel weak, you won't feel lack, so that's what I'm looking forward, is getting like 90 days into this juice cleanse, and and seeing how my fasting will be then. But I'm not pushing fasting. I'm not pushing it at all, because I know it's gonna come. Me and my dad, we're not just doing this to hop on a group. Oh, we're juicers, we're veggie, we're vegans, we're this, we're that. No, we're not propping any nutrition. No diet. What we're getting on is getting to where we're not eating anymore, where we're no longer dependent on shit outside of us. So that's my goal with the juice, is getting to where I'm not eating, I'm not drinking most days of the month, most days of the year. More days of the year I'm not eating and drinking versus eating and drinking. Hopefully eating and drinking isn't even a thing I find pleasure in anymore. No longer is it a thought in my head that I need it, to get from needing it to getting past the cravings of the taste and flavor, getting past all that. Because I feel if I was fully healed, I wouldn't even crave that shit. Like, that shit would look so low. That the food, the pleasures of this world, the breads and circuses that we find so much pleasure and stimulation and excitement from, I feel like when you're fully healed, that shit just looks gross. And like, you wouldn't even desire it. You'd be like, get that shit away from me. Like you have no craving. You have no FOMO even over it. Like, fear of missing out, right? You see it and you're like, I'm glad I'm over that shit. But yeah, that's where I'm headed.